Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Captain's Chat. My name is Joe Delagrave. I'm one of the captains for USA Wheelchair Rugby. And today I'm joined by a special guest. It's our first guest that's been outside of the wheelchair rugby community. So I'm super excited to have my friend and legend of sitting volleyball, Katie Holloway, on. She's a three-time Paralympian, two-time silver medalist, and they got the monkey off the back in 2016 at Rio, winning a gold medal against their rival China. And so she's been a captain of USA Sitting Volleyball since 2017. Really excited. We're gonna have a great in-depth conversation, hopefully have a little fun as well. And so as always, join us with questions. We'll make sure to get some questions up for Katie. So just an all-around legend. So super excited to welcome Katie Holloway.
Thank you for having me. Good. It's good to see you again. I just saw you actually last weekend in my magazine, Experience Life. That was really nice little surprise. It's one of my favorite magazines. So there was Joe Delagrave right there.
Yeah. The little We Love section. It was awesome to be in there. I'm glad that someone one of my friends that we knew in high school and college, her sister is the editor, Jamie Martin, and so random connections. Yeah, super cool. So you have to look it up, guys. Experience Life. Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive in. We've got a lot to talk about, and I'm sure we'll go down a bunch of rabbit trails. But obviously, just talking to everyone about the situation at hand with COVID, like we've been kind of isolated or self-quarantined or mandated stay-at-home orders. These last 3 months have been crazy. The Paralympic postponed, like everything has been. It's just been a lot. And like you've had a lot going on inside, outside of your sport. How you've been dealing with it mentally and physically, because it's so outside our norm.
Yeah. So in the beginning, when it all sort of shut down, I immediately went into fight or flight. So I was fighting, right? I was training still 4 times a week. I was like, I'm going to stay in shape. I'm going to do my routine. And I stuck to a routine for the first month. And I was like, okay, even though a lot of things changed around me, I was like, I'm still going to work out on my normal, schedule. I still worked out with my trainer. I obviously stopped playing volleyball, but we were still peppering in the backyard and stuff. But so I'd say for the first month, it went really okay. And then the wheels started falling off. And I wouldn't say it was easy even in the beginning, but the roller coaster just started. Oh, there's a little friend.
Nature out there. Yeah. It'd be weird to fight a squirrel running through my house, but yeah, that's awesome.
Oh my God. Yeah. Hello. There are a lot out here. And then it was just a roller coaster after that. It was I'd have really low lows and really not even high highs, but just really low lows of what am I doing? What's happening? I think just being, just trying to navigate, not traveling too. And I know that that's a privilege, but just being with my team. And so we would on weekends, on Sundays, sometimes I would, Friday, Saturday, I'd be fine in the house and I'd be good. And then Sunday I'd be like, we're getting in the car and we're just going to drive. I don't care where we're going. We're just going to drive. We would be driving down the road and the signs would be like, are you 5 miles from home? And I'm like, we're still going. Mentally, and I had to pull on all of my team, my fiance, my friends, my family, my sports psychologists. I started seeing a counselor because it was too much, and it is too much. So yeah, I'm not, shy about it. I've been seeing a counselor ever since it started, and it's been what's keeping me kind of, together.
Yeah. Well, that's such a good point to make too. And to be open about it. My background's in professional counseling. And so a lot of people, they get, they're like, oh, should I talk about it? Is it this taboo thing? It's mental wellness. It's everyone's like, oh, do you have a mental illness? You must know it's mental wellness. It's just the same thing as going to a gym. It's so important to do. And through my experience was a little bit similar to yours where you're going, like right away, it's like, yeah, let's get a home gym. Let's do that. Like and we're going to Rocky Balboa this thing. And then, the Paralympics are postponed. And like you said, the wheels kind of like, it just shifts. There's a recalibration. There's a period where you don't know what the heck's going on. And I call it like the recalibration period of just, like you need that time to not know what you're going to do like that, like instead of just going in one direction aimlessly.
And for us to sort of bring it back to sport, we have access to a sports psychologist, and she's amazing. And I'll talk about what she's done for us later in the show. But like, her goal, like she's in Denver, and I can meet with her as much as I want, but she's not a counselor. And so I think that there's like a distinction of like, for athletes, we have that sports psych, and some people only need that performance psychology and like those skills. But I was working in a hospital. Like I was dealing with a lot of things that I didn't know how to manage myself. I was taking on a lot of burden. And I call it moral injury, I felt like. And so there was only so much she could do. And so she was like, yes, let's get you a counselor. Like, let's have a team around you. And that's what I did. I had a career counselor, I had a sports psychologist, I had a counselor, and they all worked together to like support me. And I think that's what was so nice about it, was like, it's still hard and uncomfortable, but like, that's how many resources you need to like kind of get through this craziness.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. So with that team and with, like the last 3 months, and it sounds like you're doing like some awesome work, like what have you learned about yourself? What have you found out some things different? Obviously you pull away our travel, like you're traveling all the time, you're going to different events with and then everything gets kind of ripped away. And part of like your identity is kind of, you pull the curtains back. What have you learned about yourself dealing with all this?
I think the one thing that stuck out to me is like, what is enough? Like, when is my brain always works on a hamster wheel. Like, I feel like I'm spending all the time adding things to my to-do list just to get them off. And so I think in my 20s, it was about learning self-love and loving like my body and who I am as a person with a disability. And then I feel like my 30s is all about like, when is enough going to be enough? Like, when are you going to feel like it's enough? Like, I'm constantly fighting for equality in pay for Paralympians. I'm constantly advocating for people to understand what our value is as people with disabilities, as athletes with disabilities. And I just never feel like it's enough. Like, and I'm so dissatisfied by when things actually happen or come through. When is it going to be enough? And I'm like, it's so hard. I don't know. Like, I'm learning, like, I want it to be, I want to get to a place where I'm like, it's enough. You're enough. Like, I'm enough. And I just never, I don't know. I'm like, it's never good enough, and it needs to be. But that takes practice. And that's what I think my 30s is about, is learning all of that. Right.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Feel enough. Like, is this a woman thing? Like, is this, I don't know.
No, it's a man thing too. Men probably don't talk about it enough. We just, we like to bear it, but it makes me think of perspective. Because I think perspective is so important on a journey like this, especially, I mean, you're a huge advocate for the Paralympic movement, and not just in words, but in action as well. And some of your roles that you take it. And perspective is such an important thing, which I don't think we do enough of. And, with like our Paralympic mindset, where it's just go, go, go. And like you won a gold medal in 2016, and then 2017, it's like, let's go do it again. Like it just right away. And the perspective, we don't ever stop and go like, wow, look how far the needle's actually moved, and actually allowing yourself to stop and look back and go, oh, this is who I am now. Like, look at what I did in my 20s. Wow, look at how much I can accomplish. It seems like it's a good thing to stop, pause, and have perspective, because then you get to be able to gain the momentum that you need, and the energy that you need, and the passion that you need to continue on. But yeah, I think that's such a cool.
I'm gonna turn the table on you. How do you build that perspective, or how have you? Like, have you had some like skill building, or like what are the things that you do to like? I mean, I feel like you have had some experiences in your past too that like have led to some really huge perspective shifts, but how do you keep it on a daily basis?
Right. I mean, 2016 was for me was a pivotal point in my life as an athlete, but then I realized it was a pivotal point in my life as a husband and as a father and in all areas of my life in dealing with failure or dealing with what you thought was going to be the plan and then it wasn't the plan type of thing. And so like, and you know, I'm not shy about talking about it now, but in 2016, like I hated to talk about it. Like, this is awful. And that's just not making the Paralympic team. So in Rio, I didn't make the squad going to Rio. And so like, that was for me, just like, I'm a failure. Like I didn't get on the team and so then battling through those things. And again, when I was working in Arizona as a counselor, my mentor there and the owner of our private practice just had a really great conversation with me. And he goes, what makes you a failure? What makes you less of a man by not being able to go to the Paralympics? And, you know, we talked that all out and he just,
oh my God.
Yeah. And exactly. And it's just like, wow. Cause it's so easy. I mean, gosh, like our society labels us already. So like, you know, I mean, in a good way, you're gold medalist, Katie Holloway. Like that's got to bring so much joy. You know, you see the smile on your face, like that's awesome. That's a great label. But then it could be like disabled woman, Katie Holloway, instead of woman with a disability, or like, you know, or I don't know, like it seems like it's so easy to slap a label on it. And they always usually put that label first before your name instead of your name first and then after. But
well, then it becomes your identity, right? Like then that starts to ingrain in you when you hear that reflected to you, right? So
yeah,
it's even more important to have that perspective, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
A different perspective.
So as to answer your question, basically like just started in 2016 and 17, started to just really work on myself as a leader. And I think I was playing the blame game in 2016 and I, you know, using that victim card and saying, oh, well, it's this person's fault or it's this person's fault, but like, I can only control what I can control. And so looking in the mirror is one of the hardest things to do. You talked about self-love in your 20s and really self-love started for me in 2017 and going like, do I love myself enough to keep going? Or like, what do I think about myself and why am I allowing other people to speak into my life and them give me the worth instead of me giving the self-worth? Because I think it's such a big component. You can't love anyone else or take care of anyone else if you don't take care of yourself. And so that was kind of the journey that I started then. So to answer your question, but yeah. So with all of that, and Mandy has a good question. I figured Mandy would have a question for you, but I think we will talk about that a little bit later in the show. But have your goals changed or your perspective changed during this time? Or maybe if you want to push it back a little bit longer, but specifically to the last 3 months, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, they had to change, right? Like it went from like ramp up to like halt, like everything like, not going anywhere. So I think the one like I haven't changed like goals wise, like we still have that podium, like right, that still gold medal in front of us. It's just the timeline really got stretched out. And I don't think I've really set a goal for myself or our team right now during this time because it's so unclear. So technically, no, I haven't like made any goals, but the things I make for myself are, like I said, like I try to stay in my routine. I try to do my mindfulness. I try to get my workouts in. Those kinds of things. And I think early on too, my sports psych was like, it's okay to not practice. And I was like, really? Like, it's been 14 years. Like, I've never not practiced this long. And she's like, yeah, it's been 14 years. It's okay to not practice. And I'm like, okay. So goals wise, I couldn't say that I've actually like set them out separately, but I think taking a step back, I also, one of the things like right now is we're starting to discover more ways that we can engage our team and in different ways and try to stay engaged. And it's tough, like it's really tough. But if you, like, my goal is to keep connecting with my teammates as much as I possibly can and still grow those relationships behind the scenes. So like texting and checking in on them and those kinds of things. So that's sort of my personal goal as a leader, is to try and like, make sure I'm still building on connections with my teammates and making sure that everyone, I'm including everyone, because I think that I have really good, strong relationships with certain teammates that I really lean on too. And then realizing like how much more I gain by having better relationships with everyone, and seeing like how much I learn about people right now, because technically that's all you can do. There's no volleyball talk going on. It's like only learning about people. So connecting with people that I don't normally connect with, just to say, hey, I'm checking in, how's it going? And then trying to be a part of their life, and like, oh, you went camping, how was it?
Right. Asking curious, open-ended question. Yeah, absolutely. It's been similar with rugby, and it's so weird. It's such a weird time. And like you said, with goals, like the goal for me was to whenever this is done, to mentally like just work on my mental side of things all the way through it. And like the physical thing, I think we'll take care of ourselves. We've been athletes for a long time. And like, it's just kind of like, I know my wife, she's like, you need to go work out. Like you're being, you just get in those little moods. Go get a workout in. And so like, that's never that hard. I think it's the hard part is like to actually work on the mental side of things and being able to speak to that. So luckily with USAWR, we have our awesome sports psych, Dr. Meg Smith, who's been awesome. But I'm going to shift gears a little bit, but I think before we do that, we're going to play our first game.
Okay.
We're going to get to know Katie Holloway a little bit. We're going to play a little, grab us a little sip of that morning water. Are you a coffee drinker? Did you have coffee this morning?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Just double fisting the water. And what is that a shout out to someone? Let me see.
So Phil's Coffee, we have it in California.
Oh, Phil's Coffee. Okay.
Every cup is made with love. It's literally single pour, made with love. But that's just I made this at home.
That's just, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to play a little game of Would You Rather.
Oh, boy. So I like these games. I have one for you too. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. So would you rather be silent or still all day long?
Silent.
Oh, okay. Would you rather
be still?
So these are both bad
my body
for you.
Is like, ugh. But silent, I could be silent. It'd be hard, but I could do it.
Yeah. Would you rather eat the worst food in the world or hear the worst sound in the world?
I think I'd throw up, so I'd have to hear the worst sound in the world from Dumb and Dumber, right?
Yep. Or I think like nails on the chalkboard. Yeah. Would you rather live in a house full of cheese or a house full of chocolate?
Cheese.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Would you rather ride a flying bus or ride a unicorn?
A flying bus. I'd feel safer. Like a unicorn would be like open-ended. Yeah. I don't know. It'd just be weird.
I was gonna go unicorn.
Okay.
But my daughter's big into unicorns right now, so I see unicorns constantly.
That's fair.
Ooh, this is a good one. We spoke about body image before. You mentioned self-love. So would you have more self-love with a monkey's tail or an elephant's trunk?
More self-love with a monkey's tail or an elephant's trunk?
Yeah.
Well,
I think you can tuck the tail in more, maybe.
But this is about self-love.
Oh, okay.
To hide
what
you have going on, right? So I would say monkey's tail then, clearly. The trunk is too. There's a lot going on if it's like something on your face.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Clearly, like a mask,
Oh, this is a good one. All right, it's back to the house. Would you rather live in a house with made of trampolines or foam pits?
Oh man, probably foam because my knees are not great.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I was gonna go trampoline. I think I would. I don't think I'd get around in foam pits very well. I'd just be. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right, let's go a couple more. Would you rather have $1 million or 1 million friends?
1 million friends.
Okay. That's. I mean, it's kind of the only answer. I feel like.
Actually,
I could take $1 million.
Let me think about that for a second. I don't know if these are supposed to be rapid fire, but like now that I think about it, I'm like, I don't need 1 million friends. I just need a couple really good ones, right?
Yeah.
1 million are so hard to manage.
Yeah. Take that $1 million. Run to the bank, Katie. Run to the bank.
Great.
Would you rather
taking 1 million too?
Yeah, we're gonna. Okay. Yeah. Would you rather sing like a chicken or waddle like a penguin?
Sing like a chicken or waddle, for sure. Waddle. Okay. I love penguins, little waddle.
Would you rather have purple skin or a blue tongue?
Purple skin.
Wow. I'm going with the blue tongue.
Okay.
Yeah. Last one. Okay. Would you rather find a treasure map or magic beans?
A treasure map or magic beans?
I don't know what the magic beans do. Is that the magic beans for the bean?
Yeah, a treasure map, obviously, because then they could lead you to the treasure, right? Are you ready for mine?
Yes.
Would you rather be stuck to the front of a semi-truck for 8 hours?
Am I holding on?
No, just stuck to it, like just on the front of the semi-truck going, across country, or an hour on one of those big wind turbines, the massive tall ones, the wind turbines, one of those for an hour, stuck to that.
And I survived both, right?
Well, it's not part of would you rather here. It's just
okay. I'll take the hour on the turbine. I think the 8 hours on the truck, there's a lot of bugs that would get on me, and then I eat a lot of. I don't know. Yeah.
You'd inevitably on the wind turbine though, you'd like pass out, right? Like about spin 3, you'd be like, ugh.
Yeah, you'd be done. Yeah, that's an interesting one,
right?
Good. Yeah.
I think that one came up on a road trip one time. I was like, all right, we were doing would you rathers.
That's like hour 4, and like you just run out of things to talk about.
Right.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we're gonna dive back in. That was fun. You've been a huge advocate for Paralympic sport movement and Paralympic sport in the U.S. And lately we've gotten some monumental things happen, like the USOC becoming the USOPC, United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, Olympic Day, which changed to Olympic and Paralympic Day. I've done Olympic days. I'm sure you have as well. And it was always like, yeah, but I'm a Paralympian, and then you have to explain it, and then you have to, and now it's Olympic and Paralympic.
But no, you're an Olympian.
Yeah, but you're an Olympian. You're an Olympian. You're an Olympian. Well, actually, no, I want to be anyway. Yeah, I won't get you started on that right now.
I know, right? It's my
yeah. But like the words matter. Like the words absolutely matter. But they don't matter if the next step doesn't happen. They don't matter if work doesn't come after them, action doesn't come after them. And so what's like the next step? We're like, there's good momentum, but is it all for nothing if we don't see action? And what does that action look like?
Oh man, that's
unpack it for me.
Big question. It's funny because I've stepped back a lot from a lot of my roles in terms of internal advocacy, so what I envisioned when I first became a part of my roles was getting a Paralympic athlete on the board and getting equity for Op Gold. I think the vision that I have now for us is like from my lens within USA Volleyball is pay equity for our Paralympic athletes there internally with our stipends. And so I think that's one big thing, but I think we have a long way to go, and right perspective, we've come so far, which I can't, not acknowledge. We've certainly come so far. I think we also are in a position where we have the leadership now in the USOPC that is going to continue to make those gains and help us make those gains.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to say like exactly without getting into the weeds of like governance structures and things like that I'm a nerd for, but I'll try to keep it surface level for all of our audience out there.
Yeah.
And that's, I think a lot of that is the continual growth that we have with sponsors and making sponsors use Paralympic. I think that's one big thing is like continue to just be advocates as Paralympic athletes.
Yeah. Amen, Mandy.
Joe does want a better set.
Amen.
Yeah. So like, I think sponsorships is going to be still like carry us more forward. I think, for me personally, I think the vision is that our sports in the US truly become integrated, in different ways, whether that's you guys with, rugby, or like an organization like rugby that doesn't tie one-to-one, but is like has a spirit for it. Or track and field actually having full integration with our Paralympic track and field, all the way from the top in the elite, US track and field, track and field to our grassroots efforts where we've got our Paralympic hopefuls competing in high school track and field, which is starting to happen, so that's kind of my vision for full integration is like, is not only we kind of, I don't know, we got to start at all levels, but like getting it to be at the, the top is important.
Yeah.
Did
Absolutely.
I answer your question? I feel like I kind of.
Yeah, no, I think, no, absolutely. No, I think you did. And I think my follow-up to that is, with the extensive work that you did and taking a step back, but what are you most proud of? Like if everything that you've personally been involved in stopped today, what are you most proud of? What can you look at and go, gosh, I think you mentioned two things that probably deserve, but like, what are you most proud of?
I think what I'm most proud of is that I feel like I maintained a sense of integrity within my advocacy. And by that, I mean, I was able to manage and keep my relationships very strong with leaders without having to like, go to the media or like, go in routes that they don't respect and like still stay strong and firm in what I believed.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that like, I had a lot of really lofty goals, but I stuck by them and I worked really hard I think I'm proud of like the amount of education that I tried to do for myself to like fully understand that what I'm asking for is not out of the realm and I'm like not advocating for something that's not possible. I understand, I see the full scope. And I think that's a lot of what is hard for athletes to juggle these days is like, a lot of athletes just want to speak really high level and say, we need this and we need that. And they don't really know the background or don't get to know what processes and things are in the behind the scenes. And that's what staff in these positions of power respect. It doesn't always happen in the fastest way that media attention does, but I think I'm most proud of that is like, I really tried to take a deep dive and understand the organization and understand the people and understand like the full, it's the boring stuff, of course, but
right.
I think I'm proud of that because I still have these really, really strong relationships that I can always go back to now and be like, like we're friends and we're colleagues and we're all in the same movement together instead of like seeing it as a fight, even though it for sure is a fight.
Right.
For sure a fight, but it's a dance. Maybe we'll call it a dance.
Yeah. There's a lot of lessons in there, especially with where we're going to go in the conversation, hopefully. But kind of morphing into that is, and I had talked to one of the leaders at the USOPC and they, they talked about like, you can't build anything outside the organization if you don't build it in the organization. So like, and especially if we take like a, even minimize it a little bit more where or magnify it down to our teams. Culture is something that's huge at USAWR. It's something that we've tried to grow immensely throughout the last 10 years, but specifically, the last 4 or 5 years, we've worked really hard on it and building it. And it's something that we take pride in. What's that look like for sitting volleyball? Like, how do you try to lead and how do you try to build that culture? I know it's sometimes can be like organically intentional, if that's a phrase, but what's your take on it? Is that
like a phrase you guys use? Organically intentional?
I just made it up just right now. Yeah. Oh, okay. But it's basically like, I was thinking about it, and like, you want to be intentional with everything, but you also don't want to be like vomiting whatever onto your teammates or your organization. And so like doing it in a way that is intentional but organic.
Is authentic. Yeah, no, yeah. I actually appreciate that, because I just had a conversation with my teammate Satchel the other day, and she was like, I was like, what can I do to serve you better? Or like, what can I do to show up for you, is what I asked. And she was like, listen more. She's like, you're a fixer and you like to fix things. And so when you hear things, like, you're always trying to fix it. And if you listen more, sometimes that's a better opportunity to like just allow it. And I was like, I was like, you're so right. Like, I have a hard time.
Was that hard to hear? Or was that good to hear?
That was good to hear. Yeah, I always hope and I always appreciate feedback. I like, really, when somebody gives me feedback, I am like, okay, I hear you and I'm listening, and I try to absorb it and really go, okay, I hear you. So, but back to your question, I think in terms of culture, we've worked really hard in this last quad. We've had a sports psych that has built skills with us of strong communication. We have 3 pillars of kind of our mission statement. Trust is a must, be the bar, and respectfully authentic or organically intentional.
Yeah.
And I think those things are starting to finally come to fruition with the ways in which we're building our skills in our sessions and then doing them in practice. So we had an awesome like virtual camp in May where we like had a whole day of like character building and all kinds of stuff. And yes, Mandy, like, I think one thing that we haven't gotten to yet and we are on the cusp of is, so that respectfully authentic column, we're starting to build more trust, which then will allow us for more authentic feedback. But and we just started talking about feedback and how we can give it and receive it. And I think we're not quite there yet where all of us can receive it in an open way. But I am like a huge fan. Like, I'm like, give me feedback all the time. I want to be more aware. Like, I'm trying to fix myself, right?
We're an international show, Katie.
Nice.
What's up, Moscow?
Hi, Olga. Yeah. So I don't know. How are you guys? Like, is that, do you sit down and be like, we're going to work on culture today? Or do you guys is it like sessions you do with your sports psych? How do you guys do it?
Yeah, we do it with sports psych and quite a bit. And so Dr. Smith's been amazing with that. And we call her Meg, and she doesn't like the doctor label, but it like, she's been great with it. And then we also have what we call pods. And so the 16 national team guys are divided up into 4 pods. There's 4 different leaders for each pod. And so that's been pretty neat. I think just to, from my perspective too, I think it's good for me to say, like, I don't need to like be, I don't need to be in everyone's conversations. Like, I don't need to oversee everything. And I need to be able to be about, like either it's, with co-captain Chuck Melton or Chuck Aoki leading one of them, or Chuck, like, so like our other leaders being able to let them lead and listen and do their thing and then bring it back and say, hey, how can we do this better? So then like smaller or better conversations happen, because some guys don't like to talk when there's a group of 16. They're not going to talk. That's just not their thing. But I
was going to ask, like, I'm always curious because I have this sense that women, like, it's natural to me to how women connect and grow, right? The way we connect off the court matters to on the court, right? Like, I can trust more when I know this girl next to me and we connect by talking and to each other and all that stuff. But how do you guys do it? Like, how do you guys know that these culture shifts are happening? And like, what do you do? Like, how do men make that connection? I'm just not confused, but like I'm so curious.
Yeah, well, their leader's a big well, I'm one of the leaders, but like I came from like my mom and I had a really good relationship, and then I had two older sisters and then a younger sister and a brother. But like, so like I was around women my entire life, and like I lean more to the sensitive side of things, and my teammates will be like, yeah, he's a huge crier, cries all the time. But so like I just from who I am, like I probably bring that in a little bit. But as men, like people just want to feel safe to be able to have a conversation, and that takes time to build that. You can't go in and demand, hey, let's all spill the beans right now, because like there's no trust built. There's no like equity built in the relationships as a team, because each team's different too. And so like you got to give that time. But then
how do
like
you build safety? Because I think that's what we struggle with, is like where I think I'm really safe in certain spaces. Like I can't say the same for my teammates. Like how do you guys build that safety then?
Yep. On and off the court. And so the things that we say off the court need to reflect what happens on the court. And then the other piece of that too is within the idea of servant leadership. And so like if I ask someone to do something, but I've never cared about who they are as a person, like they're not going to buy in. There's just no way. Or they might, but like it's not going to be real, or it's not going to be at the, you're not going to give them like that sense of like, wow, like I'm really cared about here at USAWR, and everyone cares about what I want to do or who I want to be as a person. And so a lot of it, we talk that like the talks have nothing to do about rugby. I think it's important to have those rugby talks, but then at the same time, like, who is this person that lives in Texas, and what have they gone through, and like what have they been through in life, and why are they playing rugby, and like what's their dreams or what's their goals, desires. And so not only sharing mine and being authentic and sharing mine, but also allowing them to that listen aspect that you talked about, and listening to what they care about. And I think and then just in a good way saying, oh, wow, Katie, that's awesome that you care about advocacy. That's really neat. And so like you're hearing them. So just a couple like phrases of feedback and going like, I'm hearing you, I'm listening to what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. And I think that kind of builds equity.
Yeah, we've been doing, or we've learned through our sessions and a lot of skill building around communication. And in those conversations that are like, could be tougher, where we used to like, man, things used to throw down in these conversations and then they became, little, bad sessions. Right. And so now we're in a place where our communication skills are so strong that we say, do you mind? And we ask for permission. Like, do you mind if I give you some feedback here? Or do you mind if I speak to you about an incident that we had in the past that may come up in this conversation that is technically private? And then that other person has a chance to be like, yes or no. And then that invites safety, right? Like that, not necessarily safety, but comfort in being like, I gave you my permission, now go ahead, it's on the table. And I feel like that's just been huge. Like those small little communication things that used to be just like, I'm about to throw down on you and you're not knowing what's coming, versus being like, is it okay if I talk from my experience right now about the thing that happened between us? And then all of a sudden it's on the table and somebody's like, yeah, because I know that you're talking from your own experience versus saying mean things about you did this, you did that,
Yep. No, it's I think too, like it's important to have your big stakeholders on your team buy in as well. So like, I mean, I'm really proud of Chuck Aoki. Like he's a captain in 2016 and he hasn't been since, but he's one of our best leaders. He's obviously like the face of wheelchair rugby for as far as like sponsorships and things like that go. But he is invested in his teammates. He's invested in the conversation. And so like, I'm really proud to see him take those steps and go, and because people can look at me and go like, all right, well, Joe, that's just Joe, just shut up. But if, the guy that is our driving force behind our team, he's our LeBron, like if he's buying in, okay, wow, that like, maybe I should listen to this. Maybe I should talk about this or whatever. So like, I think that's a big chip a big reason why this is working. So
for sure. I agree. Everybody has to be bought in, especially the critical leaders or the like even unspoken leaders or the non-title leaders.
Right. Sure. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So what has your journey taught you? You started playing sitting volleyball in 2006, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before that, you were the first woman with a prosthetic to play Division I basketball, which is crazy. Has there been anyone since you to play? Do you know?
I don't know. I think so, but I haven't.
There's not a fraternity of like, is that a Facebook page for you guys?
They don't like post it on NCAA like, oh, now there's this person.
There's the second person. Yeah, it's like the first
person.
There's
a lot of arm amputees I've seen, like a lot of guys and women with that are arm amputees somehow. So
yeah.
But yeah, I haven't heard, but I'm sure there is. I just don't know.
Yeah. Mandy brings up a good point with honesty in some of those tense conversations. We call them cracks on our team. I think I've talked to you about this before. Yeah. Like where you crack. And
the vein in your forehead.
The vein in my forehead. And we have like the crack leaderboard. And it's I think Aoki was just texting me. He might have to go back to the headband because I think I just called him LeBron. You better get a bigger size, dude. You better get a bigger. But no,
it's like 3 headbands for the amount that he sweats. We've talked about this before. We're both like sweat a lot.
There's so much sweat from that man. It's so true. But anyways, okay. I think we just totally I got
journey.
Question was journey. What have you learned in 14 years going on 15 years? Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I have to separate by quad. Do you do that? Like
I do.
I live my life in quads, and each quad you kind of like.
How about this last quad? Let's do this last quad.
Like this one we're in now, or the Rio one?
This one we're in now. Yeah.
The Tokyo quad is all about, I think, perspective, like you said, but also the journey of growth as a leader to serve. And I think for me, it's all about trying to learn about my teammates in an authentic way and like fulfill the need of bringing the team to a greater place as a whole versus like, how can Katie Holloway get better? How can I, not just skills, but like, how do I serve in all ways, not only on the court, inconsistently too. So for me, it's like, it's that whole piece of now that I am in this formal position, almost making it less formal and being like, how do I step back and be like, this person needs this because the team needs this, or I see that this person is struggling here, like what can I do, like a fixer, right? Like how can I bring them into the fold, because I think the team needs to be here. Like I have really lofty goals for our team to be like 100% in a totally different place than we were in Rio. We were like talented in Rio, and we still are. We're like even more talented, but you can't win in the same way. I mean, it showed up in 2018. We lost to Russia in World Championships.
Yeah.
And so you can't show up in the same way. And I just want so much more for our team. And it's like all the stuff off the court. Like I want us to be stronger relationships, stronger friendships. I want us to have a culture and an environment where our athletes can step into the space and feel like they want to be themselves and they want to grow and learn. And I don't think we've always had that. And we're starting to get there. But like we have girls that have quit in the past because they're like, this is not for me. Like, I don't like what I see here. And I don't want that. So I want to leave it all a better place behind. So I think that's what this quad is about. What's it about for you? You guys are, in my head, this quad for you guys is like gold. Like you guys, all those components that I just said, like this is going to be the one. But you guys got to do all that too.
Yeah, no, I mean, it totally is. Like obviously, okay, that's a good dream for sure. There's a couple goals that we have. There's one for us to get our equipment guy, Chuck French, to do the mile again in his underwear, because he did that for us back back in the day. I think he was a little skinnier back then, but like he did that.
Run a mile?
Yeah, he had to lose a certain amount of weight in a certain amount of time, and he didn't do it, so he had to run a mile in his underwear.
Oh,
and it
wow.
was yeah. But
that's such a long mile in Lakeshore Fieldhouse, I'm guessing. And
in Lakeshore, 8 laps of Chucky French running.
Oh.
Yeah, but anyways, back on. So I think it's gold for sure, but in a healthy way, in a way that, like, I think if you are constantly focused on an outcome, and gosh, our sports psych is constantly, because we're always like, and she's like, "What's your goals for the game?" We're like, "Win, duh," and she's like, "Well, that's an outcome, not a goal." And we're like, "Shut up, Meg, we're winning."
I can see her saying that.
No, yeah, that's an outcome, and it drives me insane. I'm like, no, the goal is to win the game. That's why we play. But it's the goal is gold, but the goal is, like, at the end of the day, you don't know, because like in 2016 they lost in double. Like, we just watched that game again and did like
I watched it with you,
right? Like,
we were like sitting there, what's gonna happen?
And
like,
it's people
with me.
And I watched that again, and the game easily could have been won. So does that make that team less talented? Does that make those guys failures? Like those are the labels you get slapped on because you're looking at a scoreboard for like your justification of who you are, or like what's the scoreboard tell me? Am I a loser or a winner? Like that, you know what I mean? So I think, like you guys, if we're building up this culture, if you're building up an environment that grows men, in your case grows women, in our case grows a woman, because we have a woman in our team now, and so, like, if we get to that point and we win gold, but there's not a good culture, like, I think that becomes pretty empty. But if you go and win gold, or you go and you don't achieve that outcome, you still have all those experiences, and you're growing people, and you're building each other up, and I think that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah, to be honest, the goal is the journey. I mean, it's right. I think it's not about we look back and we go, oh yeah, you win a gold medal, great, but like, do I remember big moments in that, or like every moment in that game? Not at all. I remember like crying a lot at the end. I remember the day leading up to it, and we played spoons, like we were like playing spoons as a team, and like, those moments, like those that's the journey, right? Is like being like with your team, and the growth of your team, and the bad and the good, right? Like, don't you remember that one time we were like in that crazy fight, and you can talk about it now, but
exactly. That's
the goal, the journey.
Absolutely. What do you think? So we're going to go a little bit over, if you're good with it, because we got a couple questions. I think they're good. What do you think Paralympians, and I'm saying people that aren't normally involved in some of the advocacy, or they're there, they want to play volleyball or play rugby, and they want to go win a gold medal, and like, what do you think those athletes can be doing better to continue the movement and make our adaptive community better? Because I think our adaptive community, if you're talking about the adaptive community or the Paralympic community, or like anything, I think we need to do a better job of building each other up. I think it's a pretty big, it's a little scary out there, where everyone's competing against each other for sponsorships or whatever it is. And there's just I don't see that good of camaraderie among the sports or the adaptive community. I know it's kind of a loaded question, but fire away.
No, I think, so first of all, when I've been doing my advocacy work, one very clear thing to me that is almost a very tough part of pill to swallow when in your advocacy work is, no matter how much I speak on behalf of a group of athletes, there are a significant amount, I'd say like 80%, that, like you said, want to just compete. They want to show up. They want their sponsorship. They want their gold medal, and they just want to play. And that's totally, I've had to really swallow that pill and be like, that's got to be okay, because they don't want to do this work, and that has got to be fine. But like you said, they are a part of the ride. So how do you, or like what do we need to get them to do? And I can point to a couple of things. One is, I don't need you to be at the front of the conversation, and I don't need you to learn the entire bylaws history that I've learned, right? I don't need you to do that. What I need you to do is I need you to show up. I need you to respond to surveys. I need you to engage when I ask you to. And I need you to listen when I have something meaningful to say, and say, this is going to impact you. And guess what? You're going to be mad later down the road if you don't, right? So little tiny things like responding to emails. We are the worst communicators in the world. This is one of my biggest pet peeves, is like, I send communication and people are like, oh, I didn't get that email. And I'm like, how did you not get that email? I just sent it to you, and you can respond via text immediately to something that matters to money. But yet, you know, I send this email that's got like loaded questions about feedback. So I need people to like, number one, just engage in emails, like read your emails, right? And be present, because you don't, in my mind, you don't get to pick and choose. When we are at an unequal state of athletes, like when we're considered less than, and our brand is less than, you don't get to pick and choose when you get to just show up, like, and just not engage. So I think that's one thing that I've seen change in our team too, is like, they see how much I've been working, and I'm like, and they honor that by just being present in the conversation when I ask for it. So that's one thing. I think the other thing is, my biggest soapbox is using the Paralympic word and using Paralympic athlete, and in every single way. And like every interview you do, ensuring that the interviewee or the interviewer is aware, like, please call me a Paralympian, and use that term, because we need to build awareness around it. What do you think? I mean, I think there's so many things that athletes could do better, but I also think that they don't necessarily want to, and that should be fine too. But we need everybody, man. We need to be all on the same page too.
I haven't met anyone that doesn't want to use their like Paralympic platform, whatever that looks like, big, small, in between. But I think it's like you said, some people aren't going to want to do this in a big level, but obviously respond to emails. Like, it's super simple to fill out a survey, super simple to respond and feedback. But I think it's part of that culture thing where you go, okay, who is this person and what is their purpose? Like, what do they want to do in life? And what's that look like? And how can the Paralympic platform work with them to kind of grow themselves as a brand or as a person or whatever that would be? And so if there's purpose wrapped up in it, then they're going to be more willing to put in the effort, because there's studies out there that a passionate worker is only excited to work for so long, but a worker with purpose is going to be bought into whatever they're doing for a long, long time. So I think it's that hits. Sorry. So wrapping up, I think my last question would be, how long do you want to play?
Tired.
I mean, it's a lot of quads.
It's so simple, and yet it's so loaded. I appreciate the way you frame it too, because people are like, oh, so what's after Tokyo? Or like they start to ask these things, and you're like, I'm not even to Tokyo yet. Let me just live my life. I don't know, because I think that the way that our culture is shifting is becoming so exciting and fun to be a part of, and to like be a part of that change, and like to see our movements even get so much better. Like, just watching all the NBC nice
LA.
That's what I think my teammates really think that I could make it to LA. I'm like, do you realize I'll be like 50? Like, I don't know. I won't be 50, I guess. That's terrible. But like, I feel like you'd be pushing me in my wheelchair, like, with my cane and my walker. But no, sorry, I answer your question. I don't know. I think once I have babies will be the cutoff, and that's not anytime soon, but I think that will be my end.
Katie Holloway is pregnant. Congratulations.
Oh my God, don't start that rumor. No, that's not happening. No, but I do have a fiance, and I'm getting married later this year, and at some point we want to have babies, but after that. I don't know how Laura Webster does it with 3 and Kaleo with Duke and my past teammates that have done it with kids. I'm like,
I will say,
how do you do it?
Well, and I was gonna say, like, and I don't want to like get into gender roles, but like I think it's just different being a mom with a baby and a dad with a baby. I just do. Totally. And it's not to say it's been easy, and we have a lot, and I think it helps because I have a lot of teammates that have had kids, and co-captain Chuck Melton has he only has 1 kid left in the house, so like and then
wow.
Chuck French, our staff guy, has like 16 kids at their house. I think they have 5 actually, but and our coach does, and so like there's a lot of like camaraderie with like having kids and being able to talk through that as dads. I think like there's just a connection between a mom and her baby, especially early on, that I can't imagine. Like it's to see my wife with it, and it's just such a special connection that they have during that age when they're born up until, they want to start throwing the ball around with dad type of thing. But
and we've had, Laura had 3 babies all through her career, and I can say that our culture is now better, but it wasn't where it needed to be to support her as a mother. And I think we still have a long ways to go, but like Kaleo's experience and Laura's experience having babies and being competing on this team were 2 totally different experiences. And it's sad, and also it's good that we're getting there, but like keeping women in sport is a thing. And I think to the other side of things, having Paralympic athletes that are not very well paid, you are expected as a man in this country to provide for your family, and you can't do that. And how do you do that and compete and hold a full-time job? Like those things they're in conflict. Like, how do you support your family? So I think there's a lot of these things that are it's just people figure it out. And I'm glad that they do, because they're a part of our world, but like, it's tough. So
absolutely.
That will be my marker. And I'm pretty sure I'll have babies before LA, because I'm already in the geriatric range probably at this point. So
just, wow. Yeah.
I'll leave you with that.
Fair enough. All right. We're going to wrap up with some rapid fire questions, a little rapid fire wrap up here. And we'll get started with your favorite moment in sitting volleyball.
Winning gold in such a like dominant way in Rio.
Domination. Absolutely.
Pure domination. And did you watch it? Like, we just watched it happen again and again the last few months? We
watched it.
I literally could not keep the smile off my face.
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Just and the jumping and the big, all you guys jumping in a pile
things. And just like the little things. We were like, we could do nothing wrong. It was crazy.
Yeah. It's amazing. What is your favorite beverage?
I think coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah, well, coffee is like
coffee.
A foundation, but recently, because my fiance is a beer maker, so I love his hazy beer.
Okay. So because I was gonna say, what is like the go-to order if you're gonna go to a bar and your fiance are gonna go have a drink?
Well, if we're at a brewery, it's a hazy IPA.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Yeah. What is your favorite board or outdoor games? I know, like you said in the past that you're big on board games.
So we just over the last year learned about Battle Crib. So it's a version of cribbage, and it's a 4-player game, and we are addicted. Like there's
Battle Crib.
Yes. Okay. I if people want to know about the best game ever, Battle Crib, and we're getting more and more advanced. We're very excited. We're going to see my fiance's parents today for the next.
What do you mean you're getting more and more advanced? Is there like classes? Are you like?
I'm just gonna say, because his mom is probably watching, but we have a surprise for them. We made a board, and we made like normally you just can play like you set the cards down on the table or whatever, but with quarantine we had to figure out a way to play via Zoom. So we learned basically to have 2 deck of cards, and then we each made ourselves a cardboard like board, and then we labeled the number. So we're like, but now we just stepped up a step further, and Megan my roommate and soon-to-be sister-in-law made an actual board. So this is
wow.
Advanced.
Yeah, that's big time. That is big time. Breaking news. What's your guilty pleasure TV show?
Love Island. But Love Island, Australia and UK, because the US version, they don't have the accents and it's not as funny. They have all kinds of sayings. It's terrible. We've watched like every UK season, every Australia season. There's like hundreds of episodes and we've watched it all.
I don't even know what that is. Celebrity crush.
Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, that's a good one. What does your fiance have one?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
You don't want to know? That's good road trip question.
That's true. I could ask him.
Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Chocolate peanut butter.
Oh, chocolate peanut butter. Okay. What are you most afraid of?
Dying.
Afraid of dying.
Mm-hmm.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oh, the Netherlands. It's like my favorite country.
Why?
It's because
have you guys gone there for volleyball?
All the time. We've been there like 6 times. Yeah, we go there almost like every other year.
We've talked about this. We're like, we've been to Australia and Australia doesn't have a sitting volleyball team. And then there's just random places that you guys have gone a lot that we don't go to.
Trust me, I wish I was like a snowboarder. They're in like Swiss Alps and like, they're in all the European countries. I'm like, well, we never go there. Like, or Australia, I wish we had an Australian team. Or I'll just start to play rugby.
Absolutely. You're going to need to be a little bit more disabled first, but I mean, we can get you there. But sorry, we're exclusionary sport, I guess. So last question, you're on an island, you get 2 things. What are
they? Oh, that's tough. An island. I should say like Wilson. No. Well, can I bring my fiance?
Everyone's saying they're going to bring their significant other, and I'm just like, okay.
Got him like a couple years ago.
For sure.
Okay, so he can be one, and then a boat to get off. I don't know.
A boat to get off. Your fiance and a boat to get off. Okay. All right. Well, Katie, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for the conversation. I thought it was great. I know that there's a bunch of people you'd like to shout out, which we could real quick before we end. Do you want to shout out some peeps?
Yes, please. So I definitely need to shout out the people that have gotten me here today. So Adidas has been my sponsor this quad and been amazing. Challenge Athletes Foundation has really supported me through year in, year out. USA Volleyball has been just a massive foundation to our team. The Rika Center is actually the gym I train out of, and I just like love, they're my home away from home. And NorCal Olympians and Paralympians, I got a grant this year. I'm a part of a network here in the Alumni Association for them. Did I get them all?
I think that's it. Yeah.
I also just want to have a quick shout out. Yesterday was Laura Bridge's birthday. It was her 60th birthday. That's my fiance's mom.
Oh, happy birthday.
Her. And then I would be remiss if I didn't honor my podcast. We Inside Parasport is my podcast with my partner Kelly Crowley. We talk to people like Joe Delagrave about the Paralympics. And then I just want to honor my aunt Donna, who passed away actually last night. So I just want to leave with
of course.
It's also my grandfather's birthday, who passed a long time ago. So it's a wonderful, wonderful day to celebrate their lives. So
yeah, absolutely. Sorry about their passing.
Thank you.
That's never easy. Katie, thank you so much for being on. Thank you for what you've done for Paralympians in the sport all the way through. I know that I don't know because I haven't done as much work as you, but like, thank you. Like on behalf of our team and the Wheelchair Rugby community, thank you so much for the work you've done. And some of the big things, like some of the names, Olympics and Paralympics, USOPC, getting equal pay for medals, just some stuff that's just honestly monumental and really amazing. So thank you so much. And yeah, good luck with everything. Good luck with the wedding. Good luck with battle cribbage or battle crib this weekend. Say hi to the fiance for me and have have an awesome day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.